Beef and Lamb New Zealand is involved with 5 different types of on-farm projects designed to meet the needs of sheep and beef farmers throughout the country. One of these is the Profit Partnership Program, where a group of 10 to 15 farmers from the same area meet regularly, working together to improve their businesses. The Zino brothers have 1,100 hectares in North Canterbury and are involved in the program.
Profit Partnership Program is looking at getting together a group of like-minded farmers, and these guys are basically hand-picked. So where we have a suite of 5 different project farms, this one sort of is right in the middle where we're hand-picking farmers that are trying to lead the rest of the industry. The continuous improvement and innovation is the theme of this program, and so we've provided a facilitator in terms of a farm consultant to help these group of 10 farmers try to make sure that each year they get better and better by about 5% year on year, which is a pretty tough target. The difference with this program is we've got these 10 to 12 hand-picked farmers that have put their hand up, said we're committed to it, open our farms up to allow people to come in, and we want to work closely with a consultant. And so it's quite a different concept. And as I said, it's a 5% year-on-year improvement, so it's pretty tough targets for them to achieve. And they work together. It's basically, instead of having one farmer in the fishbowl, we've now got 10 or 12, and they're learning and bouncing ideas off each other, so it's quite a different concept. The Zinos, as well as putting their name in the hat, they were sort of the farmers that were after. They were innovative, they were motivated, and they're committed to the sheep and beef sector, so they were an ideal candidate for this program. They were already working with a farm consultant, and so they're obviously looking for new ideas and to try and improve their own performance. So these are exactly the sort of young go-ahead type people in the sheep and beef industry that we want to try and help support.
The farm's made up of 4 separate farms put together. Now, the hill was sort of treated as a breeding operation, and that's where my brother Sam, he looks after that side of the operation. That's more a beef cow and hind operation, and all the young stock is brought down to this farm for finishing. But the 2 of us work in partnership. We've chosen to because we believe there's economies in scale. And, well, we actually get on really well for a start. We like working together. And, you know, it's all part of the family farm environment too. Like, I mean, we've got 5 sons between us that are all growing up in the farming environment. Hopefully they're learning something off the old boys. Because we're so light in terms of our soil, we have the ability to have really healthy stock country, which means in the spring when we get a good rain, we have a lot of subclover, a lot of clovers growing, which leads to extremely fast lamb growth rate. About 50% of our income is sheep, 20% of our income is venison, 25% is dairy support, and the balance is crop, a bit of wool, that sort of carry on. I've been involved with stock care for a long time, and what I've learned is all about condition scoring and weighing and just monitoring animals' performance. And then this program came along. They were leaning towards that sort of thing that I was already doing. So it kind of, for me, it helped reaffirm that I was doing the right thing. Although you think you're doing the right thing, it's great to get feedback from other farmers. I mean, and that's what this program was all about, is getting feedback from other farmers in the area, and we'll come to each other's farms and have our say on how we think they're running their business, and they take the pluses and the minuses out of it, and if they want to change, they change. If they don't, they don't. We've just had in the replacement ewe lambs. We just check their condition score and their body weight to make sure they're on track for their target mating weight. Our target mating weight is 50 kilos, and so we have a minimum of 45 leading into mating on the 5th of April. So we're just monitoring them, so making sure they're growing properly. They're well ahead of schedule. We're having a good year. There's plenty of green grass around, so they should be.
It's a pretty healthy target. Yep. But, you know, there's some big sheep in here. It's 130 grams.
I think it all starts from where we want our mixed stage ewes to be mated. We want them at an average of 70 kilos as a mature ewe. Don't really want them too much heavier than that. This is dryland North Canterbury, and you can run into problems with feeding big, heavy ewes in this environment. So we've chosen 70 kilos. I think most ewes on this farm are mature at that weight and they produce well. So then you go back down the ladder towards Tudus that mate them at 65 as a target. And then to get a good two-tooth, we need to be mating a good heavy hogget, so that's why I target 50 kilos as a mating weight for hoggets. Once a year, when I select my final selection of two-tooths, I still go through and choose the ones with good wool cover, or wool cover on the right places. I still believe that if you're going to breed a sheep, might as well have a good jacket of wool on it. Being a dryland environment, you know, summer mating, like we're mating at the end of March, can be very hard, can be very dry. So we're not afraid to use barley. We'll feed barley for a cycle before and a cycle with the ram, and that helps us hit those production targets. If we're not at a mating weight we want to be, we'll feed grain, and that's the beauty of monitoring at the end of the day, is that, you know, 8 weeks out from mating, we'll be going through all our ewes, taking the tail end off, feeding them up. Not necessarily feeding grain for 8 weeks, but, you know, whatever it takes to get them to a good mating weight. Winters are pretty good here. We grow brassicas for the ewes, 45 days, all the ewes and hoggets go on to brassica for the last 45 days leading up to set stocking. From then on, it's just a grass system right through into weaning. We do preferentially feed multiples. We scan them out. We scan triplets out and preferentially feed them. We actually feed them grain now. I've been working with Chris Mulvaney and Te Awamutu about designing a diet good enough to get a triplet ewe into good condition so that she's got every opportunity to rear those 3 lambs. And then the same with a multiple bearing ewe. We don't feed grain, but we feed the brassica. We feed an autumn sown rape. Well, we have 90 hectares of irrigation. We've got 53 under a pivot and 40 under a long line sort of Bosch sprinkler type scenario. The sprinkler scenario is all grass, but the pivot is 26 hectares in grass and 26 hectares in brassica and fodder beet. Under irrigation, we've focused on grass, ryegrass mixed with clover and plantain. We're just trying to keep everything consistent throughout all irrigation, because animals do move from the pivot down to the long lines and vice versa. So we try to keep them on a very similar diet. But the deer unit is pretty much all where the sprinklers are. That's used obviously for deer in the winter and in the spring, and then all the deer leave the farm. Then we finish lambs and then bring the new lot of weaners off the hill in sort of late February, early March. We're looking to keep our lambs very consistent in the 40 to 43 weight bracket for processing. And we've found that using that grass mix it's taboo ryegrass mixed with plantain and sometimes chicory and a lot of clover, it's enabled us to get reasonable lamb growth rates, you know, 150 plus on line averages, which is not too bad. But I think the biggest thing is it's allowed us to have a backup for our ewe lambs. If they're not going to hit target weights, we can bring them into the irrigation and get them up to their target weight for mating, because they are the most important stock class on the farm.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.